how are you? Hope you're all fine. I'm Jayati Chaudhary. Today I am going to discuss with you Class 4 Social Studies Chapter 13, A Short History of India. Please open down page number 103. History is a study of the past. India has a glorious past and would be interesting to study about the past of our own country. The history of India can be broadly divided into three periods: the ancient period, the medieval period, the modern period. First we are coming to ancient period, the Indus Valley Civilization. The glorious Indian history begins with the Indus Valley Civilization, which was spread over northwestern India to present-day Pakistan along the river Indus. The Indus Valley Civilization was discovered around 2500 BCE with the unearthing of the city of Harappa in the northern part of Pakistan. Therefore, this civilization is also known as Harappan civilization. Later, archaeologists discovered another city buried in the southern part of Pakistan. This was the city of Mohenjo-daro. According to historians, the Indus Valley civilization was the first known urban civilization. It was a very advanced civilization. Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are the two important cities of this period. So what we see, this Indus Valley civilization was discovered around 2500 BCE. The two important cities of this civilization are Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Later, archaeologists found some more cities of this ancient period: Lothal in Gujarat, Kalibangan in Rajasthan, Dholavira in Gujarat, and so on. Coming to the coming of the Aryans. Around 1500 BCE, some pastoral tribes from Central Asia came to India. They were known as the Aryans. They entered India through the northwestern passes of the Hindu Kush mountains. They settled down in the Indus Valley region, which provided them with grazing pastures for their animals. They settled here and came to be known as Indo-Aryans. So these Aryans are going to be the pastoral tribes from Central Asia. They came and settled down in the Indus Valley region, and they are going to be known as Indo-Aryans. The Aryans settled down and started farming. They were the first people in India to know the use of iron and brought horses along with them. They used iron for making plows. The Vedas are considered as the sacred books of the Hindu religion. They were written in Sanskrit, an ancient Indian language. They have verses which are recited at religious ceremonies. The Vedas comprise 4 books: the Rig Veda, the Samaveda, the Ajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda. The 2 great epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata and the Upanishads, were also written during this period. Next, we are going to read about Alexander the Great. Alexander was the ruler of Macedonia in Greece. Historians consider him as one of the greatest conquerors of the world. He had owned several worlds and ruled over a very large kingdom. He wanted to extend his kingdom further. In 326 BCE, Alexander came up to the river Indus. King Porus of Punjab gave a tough challenge to Alexander's army. However, Porus finally lost the battle. Historians believe that Alexander was greatly impressed with Porus' bravery and decided to return all his territories. Alexander's soldiers were by now very tired of fighting so many wars. They wanted to return to their land. In 323 BCE, Alexander died from malaria on his way back home at the age of 32 years. Now we are starting the Mauryan Empire. In 323 BCE, Chandragupta Maurya took advantage of the instability among kingdoms of North India and became the emperor of Magadha. He was helped by his able advisor Chanakya, also known as Kautilya. His empire came to be known as the Mauryan Empire. The empire reached great heights of glory during the rule of Chandragupta's grandson Ashoka. Emperor Ashoka won many battles. He ruled over all of South Asia and beyond. He controlled the whole of present-day India. He conquered Kalinga, but he was so disturbed by the bloodshed and loss of life in this war that he decided to give up war. He embraced the religion of Buddhism and helped in the spread of the religion in different parts of India and in other Asian countries. He spread the message of peace and love inscribed on rocks and stone pillars, which were set up in different parts of his empire so that people could read these messages. So this Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya and it reached its great height of glory during his grandson, who is going to be known as Ashoka. Not only Ashoka, we are going to call him as Ashoka the Great. Next we are coming to the Gupta dynasty. After the Mauryas, the Gupta dynasty ruled over India during the 4th and 5th century. Srigupta first established the Gupta Empire with Patliputra at its capital. Chandragupta I and Samudragupta were two great rulers of this dynasty. They won many battles and extended the Gupta Empire over almost the whole of northern India. Indian art and culture reached great heights under their rule. Science, mathematics, astronomy and languages also developed during their period. India became a rich and powerful nation. The Guptas ruled for nearly 300 years. Historians consider this period as the golden age of Indian history. So after Mauryan Empire, the Gupta dynasty is coming, and this Gupta dynasty is going to be established by Srigupta first. And Chandragupta I and Samudragupta were the two great rulers of this dynasty. Not only this, historians consider this period as the golden age of Indian history. Now we are starting the medieval period. The Delhi Sultanate, by the end of the 7th century CE, India was a rich country and attracted many invaders. The powerful rulers of Central Asia, Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori, attacked Indian kingdoms several times and looted their wealth. During a period of 25 years, Muhammad of Ghazni made 17 attacks on India for his great deposits of riches. Muhammad Ghori appointed a Turkish slave leader, Qutbuddin Aybek, as the governor of North India. After Muhammad Ghori's death, Qutbuddin Aibak became the ruler of North India in 1206 CE. He established a new empire called the Delhi Sultanate. Since he was a Turkish slave, his dynasty is also known as the Slave Dynasty. He was succeeded by great rulers like Iltutmish, Rajia Sultan, Balban and Alauddin Khilji. So in the medieval period, first we are starting with the Delhi Sultanate. This Delhi Sultanate is going to be started by Qutbuddin Aibak. First, what we are coming to see, he established a new empire which is going to be called as the Delhi Sultanate. But this is also going to be known as the Slave Dynasty. Why? Because Qutbuddin Aibak was a Turkish slave. So this dynasty is going to be known as Slave Dynasty also. Some of the important rulers of this dynasty are going to be Iltutmish, Rajia Sultan, Balban and Alauddin Khilji. Now we are going to start the Mughal Empire. After the decline of the Delhi Sultanate, North India was divided into many small kingdoms. Babur took advantage of this situation. He came to India in 1526 CE, defeated the small kingdoms and laid the foundations of the Mughal Empire in India. He was succeeded by his son Humayun. After Humayun, his son Akbar became the emperor in 1556 CE. According to historians, Akbar was the greatest Mughal ruler. He won many battles and brought several kingdoms under his control. The Mughal emperor flourished during his rule. Akbar was succeeded by his son Jahangir. After Jahangir, his son Shah Jahan ruled over India. Shah Jahan was a great patron of art and architecture. The famous monument, the Taj Mahal at Agra, was built by Shah Jahan in memory of his queen, Mumtaz Mahal. So next is going to be the Mughal Empire. This Mughal Empire is going to be founded by Babur. And after Babur, Humayun and then Akbar. After Akbar, Jahangir is coming to the throne. And after Jahangir, his son, Shah Jahan is going to be coming to the throne. And we all know Shah Jahan. He has built the famous monument, the Taj Mahal at Agra. And this Taj Mahal was built in memory of his queen, Mumtaz Mahal. Please come to page number 108. Shah Jahan was succeeded by his son, Aurangzeb, who ruled for almost 50 years. He expanded the Mughal kingdom to a great extent. He was the last important Mughal ruler. The Mughal rulers after Aurangzeb gradually lost their power. They are called as the latter Mughals. Aurangzeb's son, Bahadur Shah Jafar, was the last Mughal emperor. During this period, the powerful nobles of the Mughal Empire began to break away and started forming independent states. Meanwhile, around the same time, there were some other rulers who became very powerful. These were the Rajputs, the Marathas, the Sikhs, and the powerful kings of Mysore. For a brief period in the late 18th century, Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan were in power in Mysore. Next, now we are coming to the modern period. The coming of the Europeans in India. During the Mughal period, the French, the Portuguese and the Dutch started trading with India. With the decline of the Mughal Empire, these European trading companies became more powerful and they started fighting among each other to gain control over trade in India. The British defeated the Portuguese, the French, the Dutch and took control over all trading in India. Now trading was done only through the English East India Company. Gradually they started controlling the small territories of the country. So after the decline of the Mughal period, we are coming to see the Europeans are coming to India. In 1757 CE, the British defeated the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowla, in the Battle of Plassey and became the rulers of Bengal. The British who came to India as traders gradually started taking in the administration of the country. Soon they became the rulers of the entire country. So these British first came to India to trade with us. But a time came, they became the ruler in our country. The British brought many new ideas of the West. They introduced Western education, they built many roads, railway lines and established postal services. But the Indians were not happy being ruled by the foreign power. Next we are coming to the revolt of 1857. In May 1857, there was a great revolt against British rule. This revolt was by the Indians employed in the British Army. Soon some Indian rulers also united to fight against the British. The revolt of 1857 is also known as the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Next we are coming to the struggle for independence. Indians had no role in the administrations of their own country. They are denied high posts in the military as well as the administrative services. The Indians were dissatisfied and wanted freedom from the British. Many Indian leaders were involved in the freedom struggle. Rani Lakshmi Bai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Subhash Chandra Bose, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Sarojini Naidu and many more joined hands in their effort to make India an independent country. Mahatma Gandhi became the most popular leader of the Indian masses. He encouraged people to get united to fight against the British by using the peaceful method of protest called Satyagraha, which was based on the principles of truth and non-violence. This form of protest filled the Indian masses with a new energy. Mahatma Gandhi organized a number of movements and led the masses against the British rulers. After a long struggle and loss of many Indian lives, India achieved freedom on 15th August 1947. Now you know about the three main periods of history of India along with the important features and events of each period. So now students, now you can see some question and answer and objectives on the screen. Do this assignment in your social study interleave copy. I think you have enjoyed the class. Thank you.